I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737-777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. This is your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 214. And I'm excited about this episode because we're going to talk about how to be rich and happy. How to be rich and happy. And so, um, first off, I want to say that, back in, it was podcast episode 172, where I went over the 9 emotional needs, right? It was episode 172. And this is very relatable to that. Um, Basically, what I want to cover is 6 human needs that it's very relatable, but they have their distinctions. But this is coming from Tony Robbins. He has a audio that I listen to called "Unleash the Power Within," and so it's a great audio. By the way, if you want to tune into Audible and get a free credit, definitely go look at the show notes and you can get a free credit and you can listen to it. But the first thing is, you know, when we're talking about rich, we're not necessarily talking about money, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a firm believer that money is important, but it's not the most important thing, right? And so that's what I want to just kind of make sure that I touch on is that we're talking about different forms of being rich and happy. And so the first thing is certainty. We all are driven by by this human nature to have certainty. We want to know what's going to happen, right? It's funny because if I'm saying to my nephew, "Hey, we got to go. We're about to leave the house," he always wants to know where are we going and what are we getting, and he wants to know all the details. I think that's because it's human nature to seek certainty, that to know what's going to happen, right? And but here's the deal: some people, everybody seeks certainty in different ways. Some people take it the whole left field. Like some people use certainty, gain certainty by trying to control everything, right? Like they have to dominate and control everybody so that they can dictate what's going to happen, so that they can get that level of certainty. And so, it's always important that we have empowering forms of certainty, not disempowering forms of certainty, because there's lots of forms of certainty that you can gain. And so I definitely want to mention that. But after a while, if you always know what's going to happen and everything happens in a certain way and you just kind of fall into routine and patterns and habits, eventually you could get bored. And so then you move into the next form of of a human need, and that is uncertainty. We all have a need for spontaneity. We want to be surprised every now and then. We want to not always know what's going to happen, but have a little bit of spunk and spice and switch it up a little bit. Like, hey, what if we went that way to work? Or what if this happened and we just took a trip and just didn't even know where we were going to go? We just decided to get in the car and go. How cool would that be? We all have this innate desire for adventure. So after we have so much certainty, we want uncertainty sometimes. We want to mix it up. And so after we get through that uncertainty, another emotion, a human need, I should say, that we have is that we want significance. We want to feel like we matter, like we have a purpose, like we've done something, right? Like that we have contributed, if that makes sense. Well, I'll get to that in a second, but significance in the sense of we want to feel important. And here's the challenge. Sometimes we significance can be also another form of being unique, meaning that like me personally, I'm the type of person like sometimes, most of the time, a lot of times, I don't want to be like everyone else, if that makes sense. So, as you've heard me say on this podcast many times, if everyone else is going that way, I want to go this way, right? That's because of significance, right? It's the need to feel important, right? If I remember back in the day when I used to party and do all of that stuff, I was excited to be in the VIP line, right? There's certain things that we do because we just have a need to feel significant. We have a need to feel important, to feel valued, to feel um like you mean something, right? Because if you don't feel that way, you feel like everybody else and you feel like, okay, I'm just a number, I'm just here, right? But we all have that need to feel like, how can I be different than everyone else? And so many people spend so much time trying to be so different than everyone else. Here's what happens. They fall to number four, is that they distance themselves from so many other people, from everyone else, that now they're seeking the connection, which is number four, connection or love. Meaning that we don't want to feel so significant where everyone's always coming up to us saying, "Oh man, you're the man, or you're the lady, or you're the boss, or you did that," right? And it's like, I mean, after a while, it's nice in the beginning, but after a while, you kind of may get to a point where it's like, okay, um, I want to connect. I want to be like other people, right? I don't want to always just be that person, but I want to be connected to people. I want to be like everyone else, right? So it's like we go from wanting to be certain to being uncertain. We go from being wanting to be different or significant to being we want to have the connection to being like everyone else, right? And those four things in the beginning, I think, as a human need, we're seeking these things out in all kind of different ways. Some people, it happens through smoking, right? Or drugs, just or addictions and habits. And so you always got to make sure that whatever way you get these needs, that you're not getting them in a way that's harming you, that's taking you in a bad direction. There's always a level to it all right? Because sometimes we seek these needs in such a way that we sabotage our lives. We ruin our lives because we have to have these needs so bad. And then after we get these needs, it's like for instance, let's just say you have all the money in the world and you can pretty much do nothing, right? Like, let's just say you follow all the stuff that we talk about on this podcast, and now you are free. Like, you have freedom. So you can go wherever you want, you can spend whatever you want to spend, you can do whatever you want to do. No one can really tell you anything. Well, at that point, then you could still be unhappy. And we see so many celebrities, we see so many well-known people that we know who have that kind of status, but yet they're still not happy. They're rich, but they're not happy. Why is that? Well, that's because we need these last two, and these last two are really the most important. Every episode we talk about stretching ourselves and growing ourselves and becoming better. And I get it. You're busy, you're on the go. You don't always have time to stop and maybe read a book. Well, listen, I got the perfect thing for you. You're probably familiar with Audible. Audible is an audiobook service from Amazon, and they offer the world's biggest selection of books. I'm talking any book that I've recommended, and I've recommended a lot. You can get that book and you can listen to it on the go while you're in the car. Why not turn your car into Drive Time University? And for listening to this podcast, you can get your first 30 days free on us. So go to audibletrial.com/code freedom. That's audibletrial.com/code freedom. And we'll also put that in the show notes. Number five is growth, and number six is contribution. Number five is growth, and number six is contribution. See, we want to you build the business and you have all the success, and then you can go sit on the beach and you can travel the world and you can do all these cool things, but at some point you get back to that place again where you're bored because it's like, okay, I got everything I want, I've done everything I wanted to do, now what? Right? So now it's like, again, we have this need to want to grow. We need a challenge. We need something that's gonna stretch us, right? My mentor says you're either growing or dying. There is no in between. And so if we're not growing, what do you think? We're slowly dying to ourselves. We're dying to that that something inside of us that says, I must have a challenge and succeed and get better, not from a standpoint of getting more money, but from a standpoint of becoming better, from a standpoint of having a challenge and actually accomplishing it, to having purpose again, and mission and fulfillment, things of that nature. And then of course contribution. There's another mentor that I have, and he says, look, we got all the money that we need, we can do everything that we want to do, uh, eh, but see, it's about impact over income. And so, how many more lives can we impact? How much more can we contribute to society, right? If you focused on those two things, of course, also he also added in there being a team player. Um, Being a team player, and I think that falls in line with both growth and contribution, is where you're in a situation where it's not even about your life anymore, but it's about seeing other people's lives change. And he even mentions that in the audio, how he's got the money he needs, his family's taken care of, you know, all that life is good. But again, it's about impact, not just income. It's about being in a position where you can feel good knowing that you impacted someone else's life, you changed someone else's life, you did something that someone else would say, man, if it wasn't for so and so, I don't know where my life would be. Right? Your name shows up in their testimony. And that's the exciting thing about contribution and growth, is that you move to a situation where it's not even about you anymore. And that's, to me, is the true measure of being rich and happy and fulfillment, is when it's about everyone else. Now, don't get me wrong. In the beginning, it starts out being about you, because you got to get yourself to a place where you're not worried about the bills, and you're not worried about um, you know, the the slave enslavement of society, of debt, or the boss, or all these different things that have to make us do things because we don't have the ability to do these things ourselves. But once you get over that hump and you get to that place where you're good financially, financially in many ways, not just financially, but uh, mentally, spiritually, time wise, all these different levels of freedom that we talk about on on this podcast. Now you start moving into. I know significance to me is very similar to growth and contribution, but um, I think significance is more wanting to be unique, wanting to be set apart from everyone else. Whereas contribution and growth is more of wanting to give back, wanting to impact, wanting to serve, right? And that's where true success comes, in my opinion, is when you're able to serve the masses, and it's not even about you anymore. You got everything that you need. Now, do you still earn income when you contribute? Yes, you may. Of course, Tony Robbins has a seminar, and it's not cheap to go to one of his seminars, but he still finds value in contributing. So he doesn't do it for free, of course, but yet, and hey, there's a nugget right there, because if he did do it for free, I don't think it would have as much value. Why? Because here's the thing: don't cast your pearls to swine. Meaning that if you do things for free, sometimes people don't appreciate it, and they don't put as much value on it because they didn't pay for it, they didn't sacrifice for it. So there's a lot of little things in there that that make the whole thing make sense. But I just wanted to share with you, if you want to seek to be rich and happy, then, and by the way, this is all biblical, right? This is all biblical. biblical. I don't have the scriptures in front of me, but I can tell you a bunch of scriptures where it relates to doing for others. It's more blessed. Matter of fact, here's one right here. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. That's the most important thing, right? So if you spend all your time giving, if you spend all your time contributing to other people, you can't help but be blessed. And you weren't even necessarily trying to be blessed necessarily. You just had a mindset. So I would say, yes, go for certainty, go for uncertainty, go for being significant, gain that connection and love, grow. But if I had to say anything, I would say, what if you started in the beginning with having a mindset of contribution? What if you started in the beginning? Yes, nothing wrong with all the other things because, again, they're human needs, right? However, before you start getting bored with all of those things and moving to the next side of it, right? Why not seek after how we can impact someone else's life? Because if you're impacting someone else's life, and if you really the key to greatness is the serving the masses. The key to greatness is um matter of fact, there's another scripture that said, who is the greatest among us? The greatest among us is the servant. And we've had lots of episodes about that as well. So there's so many scriptures that back this up. Because everything you got to back up in the word, right? But really everything comes from the word, right? They just have different ways of saying it. But at the end of the day, this is just another way for you to gain the perspective of how to be rich and happy. And it's not even necessarily, like I said, about being rich financially. And there's nothing wrong with being rich financially, right? Because now you can contribute even more, right? I mean, imagine if you had unlimited resources, what you could do if you have the mindset to want to contribute to others. I mean, just imagine the homeless shelters you could build, or the the type of thing that you can create for people who need it if you didn't have to worry about the resources. See, I just believe the money in the right people's hand can change everything, can change the world. And that's the thing. We need more money in the right people's hand and not the wrong people's hand. You guys follow me? So I hope you guys got some value from this. I just want to share some of these things because I thought this is so powerful what I heard. And I hope you guys take it to heart. I hope you grow from it. And like I said, certainty, number one, uncertainty, number two, significance, number three, connection slash love, number four, five, growth, number six is contribution. And then, of course, uh, having a mindset of being a team builder, having a mindset of, of being a team player, I should say, where it's not just about you, but it's about helping other people succeed, helping other people get ahead, helping other people to win. And then your name shows up in their testimony. And you've impacted lots and lots of other people who, hey, if you didn't impact them, maybe their lives might not have ever changed. And that's powerful. So again, this is episode 214 of the Code Freedom Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.